Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They're deceived with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why they say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
The pressure is building. The pressure is building. And another prediction we made with one of our theories up front. Well, guys, it might be panning out. That is right. We are covering the case of the 84-year-old grandmother that was ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. She has not been seen or heard from since. And by the way, she is the mother of a very famous Today's Show co-host, Savannah Guthrie. And so far, nobody's found her. A lot of people kind of saying, hey, what's up, Sheriff? You know, maybe it's time to let this case go and let the big boys handle it, but he doesn't like it. And I think the pressure is building. They are now at the Mexican restaurant where Savannah and her mother, Nancy, recorded at. And according to some of the folks, they're asking a lot of questions. The FBI, that is. I don't know if Pima County Sheriff's associated or not. If it's a joint effort, it sounds like it might be a joint effort to appease the very frustrated sheriff. So what's going on in this case, folks? I do not know what is going on in this case. What I can tell you is that everything that we've known about this case has not panned out. So obviously this is not somebody that is noticeable as a prime person. A lot of the talking heads are really going to a targeted approach. Some are saying inside job. We're not going to deny that. Some are not. So we're getting a little closer to the truth, but what is it? What is it? I'm not sure what I'm looking at here, but I really felt that if there was sexual motivation behind this, whether for power, control, whatever, just all around sicko guy, right? I said one of the things I can't stand about law enforcement, and maybe I'll jog your memory when I say this, and I'm pretty sure you guys would have remembered me saying this, but one of the things that I had stated is if this was sexual in nature, if this person went in there and SA'd Nancy Guthrie, and that's the reason why she was removed from that house, the chances of this person striking again is going to be infinite, because we were talking about the behavior of this assailant. We were talking about this assailant appearing to have done this before, to have been creeping in the middle of the night because of the use of that light. Many people would never be so creative to use the light in the nature that he was using it. How he was using it is he was using it for a split second to illuminate. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a dark place, but when you're in a dark place and you turn a light on and turn it off real quick, that light kind of penetrates for a second. It doesn't just go immediately dark. So it kind of lights the way for you without having to have the light on the entire time. It appeared that he understood that. We have to go to the behavior of this person. What did we notice the most about this assailant, right? I mean, outside of the clothing, the backpack, I'm talking about the behavior and the movement. What did we all notice? If you really go back and study what he was doing, in my opinion, I think what we will notice is how comfortable he is. It doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily mean he was comfortable around that house. He was just moving and creeping very comfortably, like this wasn't the first time he's creeped in the middle of the night around a house. And not just this house, any house. That was the one thing that I think stood out to me the most almost immediately. So we'll have to go back to when that was released, and I'll have to go back to some of my findings. Do we know? Actually, I'll go to the FBI. Before we leave here, we'll go to the FBI, and we'll try to find some of that and fact check whether I said this or not. But I know for a fact I said it, and I said it publicly here on this show, that this guy could strike again. Now we're learning this might not just be some, point I was making, that this legitimately could be true. And that means that this is an assailant that might have, and we got to think about this. Now, if we are looking at some stranger danger person that has creeped at night, obviously this is probably the first time that it's been upgraded to this point. Right? This has got to be the first time it's been upgraded to this point. So what do I mean by this point? What I mean by this point is that probably prior to, if this person was a sexual deviant, he's not really he's out there for the control, the domination over somebody else. And typically that's why people say and are people and strike people in the middle of the night. So we have to look at the behavior. They chose to strike in the middle of the night, not during the day. So that means that they were wanting to target Nancy specifically. In my opinion, and I think we have a professional. I've got some receipts on this. I've got a professional that is going to be discussing. Actually, let's go ahead and move it to that professional just right now. Is this it? No, that's not it. That's not it. This is it. I don't know why that's on there.
My instinct, my background, and what I know about this case basically demonstrates to me that this was an insider threat.
I always come back to the expression Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. Is that effectively what you're saying here, is that there might have been a plan for this household that did not involve taking Nancy from her bed in the dark of night, as Savannah said, but something went completely askew in a, burglary or something else?
Yeah, or just a fear campaign or an influence campaign, maybe she had some kind of valuables there that they needed or wanted, or they needed her signature, or she had something on her computer that they needed.
We got to think about that. Everybody keeps saying nothing's missing. How do we know? How do we know? This grandmother lived alone. She had family come over a few times a year that probably stayed in that house. I'm sure Savannah and her husband stayed the night in that house. It's a big enough house. If she came to town, probably hardly anybody would even think, bat an eye at Savannah Guthrie being into town, because to be honest with you, when she takes off the makeup and she's not on TV, it's not like somebody that if you were walking in the store that you'd automatically, oh my God, that's Savannah Guthrie. You know what I'm saying? So it just makes you wonder, because we don't know what was missing out of that house. We don't know. I don't even think her family would know. That's a 3,000 square foot home that she's lived in for 30 years or more. How in the world would anybody? I've got crap that's around here in boxes from one of the other houses I moved from. How would I know if something's missing out of that box? What if somebody went through while I was gone and took some jewelry that I didn't realize I had in there? Would I really know that something's missing? And I'm not sure if I would know that something is missing. That's just all.
A fear campaign or an influence campaign, or maybe she had some kind of valuables there that they needed or wanted, or they needed her signature, or she had something on her computer that they needed or wanted. There's a whole lot there, but insider threat is still where all of these arrows are pointing for me.
And when you say
So they're going to get into this, and I know that this has been, eating us alive, because we've all felt this is really personal somehow. And I think we're starting to, at least develop some type of theory here that's taking us away from the immediate family. We still have it. I know that I know Tommaso is literally not going to leave anybody's mind. There are just some people that are still like, okay, we realize we need to move on from Tommaso, but we think it's Tommaso, right? So I know that there's still some of you guys still in my chat. Bless you folks. You're not, you guys want answers, and I bless you. You guys are what makes the true crime community tick. You just do not let it go until you see the evidence, and I get it. So in reality, theoretically, you guys are never going to get off Tommaso until somebody else is arrested, not somebody else is identified. Like, you want to see the handcuffs on somebody else. So I already know that that's kind of where some of my audience is, and I respect your opinions on that. But I also know that you guys are also working to look at other avenues as well. So even though that you just refuse to let him go, you're at least entertaining other possibilities out there, like Luke Daly or somebody like Luke Daly. I don't like really using him as the kind of poster child of criminology and criminals. I'm sorry, Luke, if you're watching. I'm sorry for beating you up if you didn't do this. But we're looking for somebody like Luke Daly, somebody that's living in the area or somebody familiar with that area. Guys, if we are to look at Brian Enton and that video that he did at night, I just, for the life of me, I don't understand how somebody can navigate that area that's not from that area. You're talking about think about it. Let's just play the tape through real quick. Let me just kind of walk you. Let me set the scene for you, okay? You're talking about your adrenaline just pumping, anything like this. I don't care if you're a professional or not. It's still that pumping. Like, you've got adrenaline pumping. You're worried about somebody seeing you. You're trying not to make any mistakes. You've got a lot of stuff going on in your cranium, okay? In your cranium. That's what it's like. And so, we're looking for that mistake, because when you're just, people are going to make those mistakes. But it's hard. It's hard for me to see somebody so calm, cool, and collected out there in front of her house when you know, even if he was calm, cool, and collected, as soon as he got in and the intensity was on, you're talking about that adrenaline. I mean, you're talking about stuff just flooding your body and your endorphins and stuff like that. You're talking about stuff that you cannot biologically control. So I'm thinking, you know, could this be somebody that is a third party to her? But just like we're hearing here, you know, this sounds like an inside job, but it doesn't seem like it's family. I feel like the family would have been, at least the immediate family, would have been, something would have come to the top right now. They've cleared them. They've went through their orifices, okay? Nobody clears anybody without going through their orifices. And their orifices were gone through, okay? So if it's not the six, you know, the immediate family, then it's got to be somebody like the immediate family or something, because there could be multiple scenarios for what we're looking at here. But just robbery alone, I just don't believe it. And it's something that this guy here says that really puts it in perspective.
Say insider threat, you mean?
Someone who knew her well, who was part of a close friend, family, or a circle of people of influence.
Remember, the churchgoers. Who are their families? Who are their grandchildren? Okay? Did any of them have children or grandchildren living with them or visiting with them? You know, orifices. Yes. I'm telling you, they do not release you without going through your orifices. It is bad. So, you know, this does feel very personal. How personal? You know, again, we were just talking about Nancy Woodrum's case, and Nancy Woodrum, she gave tamales to her painter. And he thought that was key to, hey, please break into my house in the middle of the night and rape me and bludgeon me. Tamales. That's what got that woman killed and raped. So, you know, we're looking at this here, and now we're realizing how, you know, truly sick some people are. And it makes you wonder, because this was a painter that did this to Nancy Woodrum. And as a matter of fact, not only a painter, but a painter that was a witness that was being beneficial and helpful to law enforcement about another contractor she had gotten into this huge argument over. So we do have some type of comparison here of what type of person did this to this other rich lady. And this other rich lady, which just happens to be Nancy, her name is Nancy as well. This other lady, she lived in a $2 million house too, and it was the painter. It was the painter. And this is what creeps me out. Not that I think that it could possibly be the painter in both cases, but let's face it, both of their names are Nancy. Who knows? I mean, the moons and stars are already aligning with the names. But, you know, when it comes to Nancy Guthrie, the roof was freshly painted. And even if it wasn't the painter, how many estimates did she get for the roof? I know every time I have to use a contractor to do anything for me, I'm getting at least 2 or 3 estimates. And sometimes I don't like the 2 or 3 estimates I get. And I'm like, there's got to be somebody cheaper. And so I might get a few more estimates just to see, you know, just to see if I can find something more reasonable, you know? So it just makes you wonder. The Today Show segment she filmed in November brought the most publicity. See, you know, and not only that, but then, you know, people, but it's not even just targeting, right? You know, it may have been something that was said, whether it be, you know, this Today Show or not, but once somebody targets you or identifies you, then comes the research, then goes online, then you're starting to see these, you know, today's show, clips of her in her room, in her bedroom, and now you're taking notice of where the windows are, if there's a sliding glass door there, what you can see in the bedroom mirror. You're really starting. I didn't realize people did that, but now I'm in true crime, and quite frankly, I do that now. I don't do that to people I want to go breaking in their house. But every time, let me think about it. When we had the masked man at her front door, what did many of us do? We stopped it. We blew it up. We looked at every little piece of, image, blew that up, see if we can see anything moving in the background. I mean, right? How many of you guys did that? I mean, us in the true crime community, we do that instinctually when we have cases or any videos coming out. But think about people that are trying to target you. Think about some of the tools that they use in their toolbox. I mean, it's got to be fairly similar to what we do here in the true crime, background checks. I mean, it just, we don't think how creepy it is, when we're dealing with, crime cases and just trying to get some information about somebody, about a case that is now rising to a national interest case. If you were to utilize some of the strategies we use, for journalism and locating information to report, and you're using it on a private citizen to stalk them, like, that's creepy. That's creepy. And like, you don't even think about that. Like, I would never in a million years think, oh, let's use these tools to go stalk some innocent random person because we want to break into their house and bludgeon them to death, Like, that's a creep. That's a creep. And it's ominous a little bit, because we're hunting this person and we're using pretty much the same kind of tools that this person used to hunt Nancy, potentially. Hey, Army vet, TGIF to you too, love. I don't even think I said TGIF to the audience. Good afternoon, good morning, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. We're kind of in a funky time here because people are still at work. People are getting off of work. It's kind of at midday, picking up children from school, what the case may be. And so I decided to pop in. I was meaning to come here a little bit earlier, but I ended up going on a little tyrant on the other channel, because I heard about Arctic fox, and that pissed me off. 99% tomato, and others did this. See, so there's Rocco, that's what I'm saying. But at least, Rocco, would you at least open your mind up for the possibility that it may not be them? Because that's all I care about, is people are open to other people. Hey, Oma, it's nice to see you, love. At least open to other perspectives, because, I'm open to the Tommaso perspective and everybody being wrong and, clearing them too soon. But I've been around the block enough that I know when officers clear them. So far, 100%, since I've been doing this kind of work, I can't talk about what people's experience has been before me being on these streets. But since I've been on these streets, I can tell you 100% of the cases that I've covered where law enforcement has cleared people, those people that they clear were really cleared. They were never, and these were cases that have ended up getting the suspect arrested and trials and everything. But I can tell you that 100% of the cases where law enforcement cleared somebody, that person that they cleared was never charged with the crime. Somebody else was. So I just wanted to put that. Now, I can't speak for, how things were before I got here. I can only talk about my experience being in the true crime genre and the true crime world. But when law enforcement clears somebody, I don't necessarily take them off the list. I mean, look at Luke Daly. I didn't really talk about Luke Daly until something more came up. And then once something more came up, Well, we started diving into Luke daily. And if you guys notice anything about me or have been watching me, that is my MO. You guys may even see something. You might like, I can't believe she's not talking about this. I can't believe she's not talking about this. And then something else comes in and I start talking about it. And then you're like, I sent you that 2 months ago. And I'm like, I know. I know. Aloha. It's nice to see you, love. I Spy, Dreaming Blue Sky, Sandy Beaches, Sky Bell. Teresa, it's nice to see you. Did I say hi to you, Melanie? Betty fan. Hello, guys. It's nice to see you. So I know you guys get frustrated with me sometimes, especially if you send me stuff and I don't like run with it right away. But sometimes I just got to wait for the right time, you know? And, sometimes you guys should all know by now, I'm a time and place person. Everything's got to kind of fit in and segue natural. That's what people love about the channel, because we kind of segue naturally. Sometimes I force segue, but most of the time, when we are covering stuff, things kind of flow in the way that they're supposed to flow. I find that to be the best. Anyways, Dreaming of Blue Skies and Sandy Beach has been with us 10 months. Good gracious, girl. Thank you. TGIF to you. I'm sure a lot of you guys that are doing the 9 to 5 or doing the happy dance, or at least starting to do the happy dance. If you're not already out of work, you can't wait until you are, right? You can't wait until you are. So turn on to old Bullhorn Betty, put the old iPads in, and tune out the world for a little bit as we try to figure out what happened to Nancy Guthrie. And so this guy here is saying, this feels like an inside job. That's my first perspective. He's a professional. He wouldn't be on, Ashley Banfield's show if he didn't have something in his background that made her say, he's a good candidate here.
Could that also include contractors, people who've worked there, maybe just had 2 or 3 words or got a lemonade once when they were working in the yard?
I would put them more into like the stranger.
So he's saying no, he's not even really entertaining the whole, Mexican restaurant or, the painter, giving the painter the tamale, the proverbial tamale that says, hey, come into my house and arm me and bludgeon me to death and then drag me out in my own bed sheets, right? So he's saying that those people are still part of the stranger people. You don't really know them. You might employ them and you might have seen them, but he's saying, that's still not, personal enough. He's saying this is a little bit closer, a little more personal. And that's what we've been kind of saying since the beginning. This is personal. So let's listen.
Component, that would be more of like a target of opportunity. And when you see violence, or especially like predatory violence enacted, it's when opportunity meets vulnerability. I've seen that with people who have valuables in their home and contractors hit it. And then when they know the family's on vacation, they'll go and take the gold, or they'll take this, or they'll take that. But if you're going to do that, there's an old saying in my world where if someone comes during the day, they're coming for your stuff. If they come at night, they're coming for you. And
boom! Wow! I want you guys to hear the old adage, the old saying, okay? If they're coming during the day, they're coming for your stuff. If they're coming at night, they're coming for you. That, my friend, is creep. Creep, creep, creep. But so true. Yeah, they come in and do work in the community or deliveries. Yeah. We don't realize, we expect people to act right, though. Let's be honest. I mean, most of the people we meet are nice people. Most of the people that come into our communities and deliver our package are normal people that have families that are just trying to put food on their table and pay for their bills. In many cases, that's what we've got. But in very few cases, those very few cases wreak havoc on our community and on our psyche of safety. Let's not forget that. Every time something like this happens out in that community or out in any community, it rips the sanctity of safety away from every person that resides in that community. It's not just an attack on that person or that family, but rather that entire community that is living in the sanctity of security. Scary stuff. Scary stuff. And let's go to Jesse Weber, but this is going to be more Brian Enton. Brian Enton is the one that's really speaking about this, so we're wanting to hear his commentary.
Okay, this is big. Now, as you may know, it has been 40 long days since 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie went missing from her Arizona home. And while we still haven't learned who allegedly kidnapped Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, we have learned something else. We have learned a pretty astounding revelation about another case that you're probably familiar with and may now relate to what we're talking about, because it turns out News Nation viewers aren't the only ones who think that Brian Enton's reporting is top-notch, because apparently quadruple murderer Brian Kohberger is also a fan of our intrepid.
Okay, I'm going to get past this. Okay. So yes, Brian Kohberger was following, and that's what gives me the creeps about Brian Kohberger, is that he was absolutely following Brian Enton, and that's what creeped us out, because we don't have the ability to find out, was he also following me or Olivia, because we were out there too, and we were the first news social media or mainstream media that even recorded out in front of Washington State University when this was happening. So, and it creeps me out because now that we see that he had a white car, there were so many white cars that passed us at any given time. We never even thought. We didn't know. How creepy is that? It just scares. And some of the stuff we do just
New information I found out today, though, Jesse, that kind of relates with Nancy Guthrie. The sheriff did a new interview today and said, he was asked specifically, do you think that this suspect could strike again? And he responded, absolutely, which is not something that I was expecting him to say. We're outside his office right now here in Pima County. And he did follow up and say, we still believe that it was targeted, but we can't say that 100%.
So, and not only that, but the behavior of the assailant we've seen. I mean, let's face it. How many of you guys, let's watch it. Let's watch it together. Let me pull it up. Let me pull this back just real quick. Let's pull up the FBI. Give me just a second. I can't see without my glasses when I'm talking or typing. So let's go to the FBI. Oh, I think I got them saved already. Well, I am almost positive I had the FBI saved. Did I not? There it is. Okay, so I think this is the one. Yeah, I think I like this one the best. Let's see how this comes up on the... So I need to be on the right, not get on the left side of this. Okay, so let's... I don't want to take too much away. I want to see as much as we can. Actually, I probably need to get this a little... I want to make sure that the entire... there we go. The bottom of this, let's go to the top. Hold on, let me make sure that this is the top. Okay, we can get this, we can see the bottom and the top. Okay, so you guys see this. This is the top up here. This is the bottom down there. We can probably make it just a tad bit bigger. I just want to make sure, however big we make it, we have the full entire screen. We have the full entire screen. Okay. So this is going to be important to me. Let me move this over so we can take up the whole screen so you're not distracted by that. So when we first learned of this assailant being on the porch, I want to remind everybody this was the first piece of evidence to prove that Tommaso was not the last person to see his mother-in-law alive again. This person out here is not Tommaso, okay? If anybody disagrees with that, then that you can obviously have that opinion, but in all fairness, I can promise you what we're seeing here is not almost a 60-year-old man, okay? So without that being said, now some people have stated, how do you know this is a man and not a female? Well, men and women walk differently, okay? Let me get very biological with you, okay? Men have their sexual organs on the outside of their body, okay? Women have their sexual organs on the inside of their body. So, when men walk, they kind of walk like they got junk on the outside of their body, okay? Women walk like they got junk on the inside of their body, like they got no, things pinching and scratching and moving around on the outside, okay? So thank you for letting me teach you a little bit about human biology. Maybe you missed it in school. Maybe you didn't know. But now that you do, you can kind of tell by the way they just walk, whether it is a man or a woman. The only time a woman walks like she's got junk in the front is when her thighs are so big, they kind of push the legs out a little bit, okay? But you can always see it's thigh, okay? For women, you can always tell if they walking a little, like they got junk. It's shaven. I just want to make sure. Oh, looks like somebody's hand's doing better. It looks like somebody's hand's doing better. Yeah, chafing. That's the only time that a woman kind of walks like a man, okay? So my first thing is maybe watch a lot of women and a lot of men walking, and maybe you can kind of get your own experience of men walking versus women walking. But there really is a scientific fact that most men walk differently than women. Now, I'm going to say most men, because a few of them might have some. Can we just leave it at that? I think you guys got it. I don't want to piss anybody off, okay? Okay, I don't want to. Not that I would hurt any feelings. They're probably like, yeah, Betty, you're right. You're right. I do walk like that. So, elephantitis. Oh, good gracious. All right, so let's look at the behavior of this individual, okay? This is the individual. This is what they have released to the public. I'm sorry, that looks like a swollen ass hand. Where's my pause button? Look at that! That looks like a freaking swollen hand. I'm sorry, it does! Look at that mug! You can't even see a defined freaking knuckle! But one of the things that you see, like I said, is how comfortable this guy is. Okay? Look how comfortable he is. I just want you guys to see. Moving around. Those knuckles do look, let's look at the other hand. Do we have? I'm sorry. I want to know. I've been looking. I've been looking at that Luke daily, and I'm just trying. And somebody wrote and said that tattoo stuff under that was that somebody said, oh, that's AI. Nancy Grace is not using AI. Nancy Grace is using people that are using programs to help lift those prints to the surface, and using reverse. There's programs that reverse night vision, right? There, yeah, and breast. Careful, guys, careful. But this person is obviously flat-chested, but that doesn't, this day and age, doesn't really mean a whole hill of beans. It's this area kind of right here. That's kind of where you're kind of wanting your your Franken beans, okay? And so you kind of see that the Frank and the beans a little bit, kind of, sort of. So anyways, they enhanced this. So she's not using AI, okay? That was, she even asked the tattooist, do you recognize that tattoo? And he's like, well, from that little bit, it's hard to tell. So she wouldn't have asked him that if that wasn't what that cleaned up to look like. And what that cleaned up to look like looked a lot like the type of tattooing that Luke Daly also has. So there's a lot of things here, in my opinion, that is really supporting how the feds were able to get a federal search warrant on Luke Daly. And somebody also said, do not count this Carlos out either. So I'm not really into Carlos being out or anything like that. I don't know. I'm waiting for the sheriff to clear them. If the sheriff clears them, we move on. I'm not clubbing Luke Daly over the head, saying he's doing anything, he's done this or anything like that. I'm just pointing out obvious reasons why he's still on Bullhorn Betty's list of potential people, because let's face it, he does have a fat round head. I'm looking at a freaking fat round head. He appears to have a hurt right hand. Luke Daly has a hurt right hand. He appears to have tattooing. Luke Daly has tattooing. He has a sleeve. He has, if you're going to have, and Nancy Grace was right, if you're going to have a tattoo down here, it most likely goes up here. A few people have tattoos that are just quarter sleeve or half sleeves, but for the most part, we did see the type of tattoos that Luke liked. It appeared to be that kind of style at minimum. And then, of course, we have the ring. The ring also being on his wedding finger, but he's not married. And seeing his hand, his right hand swollen, there's just a lot of things. While I can't say that Luke Daly is involved in this and isn't cleared or is cleared or whatever the case may be, I'm just pointing out some observations that I'm seeing in conjunction with finding out that they had a federal warrant against him. So we need to be very careful with Luke, because we don't know if Luke is the person. And because we don't know, we can't say it is him. We can just say, hey, we're looking at this. If more stuff comes available, like this tattoo, that's another check in the right, in the box for Luke. Not so good box for Luke. This is also checking in that box. And now we're hearing that they're in the Mexican restaurant and asking a lot of questions. We haven't even gotten there yet. We're still here just looking at the movements. But I also want to show you guys the other behavior, because again, it's this light, this mouthpiece light, that mouthpiece light. That is a very interesting, out of everything that we've seen, folks, out of everything we've seen, that is a first for me. That light in the mouth. That is really what made me feel that he's done this before. That he's done this in the past. So let's go back here and listen to Mr. Brian Enton about this
So that
suspect.
was also just kind of troubling to hear him say. I mean, he literally said absolutely when he was asked if the suspect could strike again.
Scary stuff.
So two parts about that. One, it seems to be that he's just hedging his bets, right? He's saying not that he has new evidence to suggest this person's on a spree and is going to attack somebody else, but we just can't definitively say if it was targeted. But Brian, look, I have to ask you this. If we're talking about Koberger following your reporting before he was caught, and maybe have to assume that's maybe why he was following you, for maybe to get ahead of investigators. Do you think the person?
You know what? In all fairness, I think if this guy's watching anybody, I truly think he's watching both Brian and JLR, because JLR has those cameras going nonstop at that house. if the perp really did, and it's sad because Jonathan's got, I mean, it's good and bad because Jonathan has, anywhere between 50 to 20,000, 18,000 people in that chat at any given time. It'd be very hard for law enforcement to, locate somebody. But I'm wondering if, and of course, Brian Enton is also well known and well recognized and getting thousands, hundreds of thousands of views as well. So we have social media covered as well as mainstream media covered, but it is, what is it? Breaking? What's breaking? Is there something breaking? But I do believe that they're both being watched. Denied. The defendant has not provided a sufficient basis for court to find that an interest favoring closure outweighs the interest of favoring an open procedure, the presumptive right. What is that for? Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that, Mama. What is that about? I'm unfamiliar with what's going on. I'm unfamiliar with what's going on. So let's get back to this and I'll try to read the chat a little bit.
Or persons who allegedly kidnapped Nancy may be following your
Robinson's
reporting. There's no reporter
that
I know. There's been more on this.
I don't think it's the trial. I think it's a hearing for something. Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that in your statement. So this is related to Charlie Kirk. This is Tyler Robinson, and Lisa says, denied. The defendant has not provided Robinson has not provided a sufficient basis for the court to find that the interest favoring closure outweighs the interest of favoring an open proceeding and the presumptive right. Oh, so they were trying to close the courts to the public. That sounds like what it sounds like. They were trying to close that to the public, and the judge said, no, we ain't doing that. That's good. That's a good ruling. Thank you.
And now if you're hearing this from the sheriff that, this person could still be a danger,
that's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I guess whoever did this probably following a lot of reporting, including mine. Again, I'm kind of the one who's been on it every single day. Now it's day 40, so I would imagine so. I mean, there are obviously certain things that we don't always report, things that we find out or we hear about. You kind of have to keep, in perspective here that this person is still on the run. There are parts of this investigation that have to remain secret for obvious reasons. But it's a strange sort of component of this whole thing to think about. I mean, you've been doing crime reporting for probably almost or as long as I have. I mean, I think it's just a reality that we have to deal with. I mean, these people are probably watching us, and it was, like I said, I wasn't totally surprised when I found out that Kohberger was, but to see the actual screen grabs of the videos was a little like, oh my gosh.
Let me tell you something. If he went to trial, you could have been a piece of the evidence because it would have shown consciousness of guilt. Why is he looking so much into the reporting about this quadruple homicide, right?
I agree. Now let's get over here.
Suspect could strike again, whoever did this?
Well, absolutely. We believe we know why he did this, and we believe that it was targeted, but we're not 100% sure of that. And so it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you.
Do you think that this suspect could strike again, whoever?
Wow, folks. Wow. So the question that needs to be had is, could the assailant strike again? It certainly seems like the pressure is on, and the more the days go by. But if I'm not mistaken, this almost feels like, I remember hearing him say this like at the beginning, and I remember one of the reporters saying, oh, so it's a he. And he was trying to walk that back. If we were to go back to those original interviews, it sounds like he knows who the person was way back then. So are they just making sure that they're covering all their bases and going to like the Mexican restaurant and stuff, Are they trying to find this person? Do they have an ID on this person that they're unwilling to tell us, and now they're just building the case? I mean, to be honest with you, that wouldn't be so far-fetched. That wouldn't be so far-fetched, because if I had to get gander, let's see, Chris Nanos. Let's go comma Guthrie. Let's use some tools here. Anytime. No, let's do the last. Let's do from February 1st. No, it would have been the first 2 weeks. Let's say to the 20th, February 20th. Let's see if we got any Chris Nanos statements. Chris Nanos statements 24 hours ago. I didn't want 24 hours ago, 20 hours ago, 12 hours ago. These people. It's not adhering to my tool. Anytime. No, we want custom range here, buddy. Custom range. We want February 1st to March. No, we want February 20th. That's what we want. Go. 4 weeks ago. Here we go. Here we go. A month ago. Let's see what these are the ones here. He's wearing the same green shirt. Let's get these pulled up. This was about a month ago. Let's pull these up. And then there's the burgundy shirt, and that's 3 weeks ago. So we want the green shirt, which was about a month ago. So all of these were done at the beginning. So let's pull all these up and listen. Here's another green shirt. Here's another green shirt. Okay. Month ago. I'm pretty sure it was the green shirt. Let's look. Let's see what we hear.
Unknown DNA that was found in Nancy Guthrie's home. Moments ago, I spoke with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos about it. Sheriff Nanos, I want to first talk to you about the DNA that you are testing. You have unknown DNA that you have found, DNA that does not match anybody in the Guthrie family, does not match anybody working for Nancy Guthrie inside her home. This sounds like this could be a significant lead.
Well, we found DNA and we eliminated some people, yes. And yes, it's significant when we find somebody that certainly matches that for sure. But right now, there's a lot of significant leads we're working. I think.
So it sounds like he's trying to keep us off this DNA found in the house. And this is not where I'm going with this. I'll have to find it. But
that video
this is interesting.
was very key to us, and we're tracking down some things there too. So we as of what's today? I'm sorry, it's Friday. So as of Wednesday, we had over 18,000 leads here. The FBI had some.
So this was after this. So this is not as far back as I needed it to be. So maybe it's not green shirt. Let's see if let's listen to some of these other ones.
There's another thing. There's never been a glove found at that home, in that home, or around that home. This glove was found the other day, and it was found by a search team that's their job, is to go out and search that area and expand that search. But it was 2 miles away from the house. And it was a tip, it was a lead. We're not going to just dismiss that lead. You call us, you tell us. We're going to go out and we're going to take it seriously. And that evidence is.
Okay, so we heard that. Okay.
We saw when that video was released, within a matter of hours, we went up about 4,500 more leads.
Do you believe someone out here in the Tucson area knows who that person is?
I do believe that. I do. We have told the community, somebody out there is, I think Savannah said.
Following breaking news as the search intensifies for Nancy Guthrie. Within the last hour, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department announced they are aware of a new message regarding Nancy.
They tell us they are actively working to verify this message. Our team coverage continues right now for you. Brianna Whitney and Vanessa.
Not at all. It's again given to the FBI. They've got this, and we'll let them go. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
So not saying much at this hour, of course, not wanting to talk more
Looks like he's arguing with a guy that's making him go and
about it, but aware of it as they investigate behind the scenes. We also know the FBI really taking the lead on anything that has to do with the ransom note. There are more details that we can reveal.
This is not the one. These are not the ones. But I could have sworn he was in that shirt.
We've had 18,000 calls in our lot. And that was a couple of days ago. It might be over 20. FBI had 14, 15,000. That's 30-some thousand calls. When we put that video out, that photo of that guy in the front doorway, that generated in a matter of hours almost 5,000 calls. Those leads, every single...
What we're looking for is one of the very first interviews he gave, and he was talking to a female reporter, and he says, we don't know why the guy did this. And she goes, oh, it's a guy. And he's like, oh, no, we don't know. And it was one of the it was in the first week. Yes, yep, Lisa remembers it. And that's the one I'm looking for, because I'm starting to develop maybe a theory about law enforcement, or maybe their approach, and I need to listen to that again and see how that was saying. But it almost sounds like like if we were to take that and start taking some of the stuff we're learning, it sounds like they knew who the guy was way back then. Maybe they did have a profile. Maybe it was either Carlos or Luke, or maybe they felt like Carlos or Luke may have known this person or may have assisted this person, maybe trying to shake a tree where maybe it's not their personal involvement, even though, Luke has this hurt right hand that is pretty concerning for me. Oh, thank you, Mama. I appreciate that, because I'm a love machine. Who did this go to? Hold on a second. This went to Regina, the spicy Latina. Well, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. So, I'm trying to, because we're really not getting a whole lot of information, and I feel like at this point, our common sense has to tell us that the FBI are involved, the alphabet soup of our federal government. We probably don't even know all the alphabets of our federal government. We only know the big names like the FBI and the CIA, and the U.S. Marshals. But I feel like there's little substations that we don't know about, And so I'm kind of feeling like they've got a lot more information than we know, right? And I feel like they would have to have somebody in mind. I mean, they're not really reaching out to the public for information. They're not really sharing information to the public. This is critical because, when they stop sharing information to the public, then they're not searching for public information. You see what I'm saying? We learned yesterday that the FBI will only release, one of the questions was, why aren't they releasing the ransom notes? If they're red herrings, why not? And one of the guys sat there and stated, listen, FBI just doesn't release stuff to appease the public. Like, they got to have a benefit. If they're going to do anything in a case, it's got to benefit them, right? So let's look at this in reverse. We're not getting anything. We're not hearing anything. They're not asking us for squat. Does that mean that they're on to something? Oh my gosh, you make my day. The scream I just heard. It's exactly how I feel right now. Here, let me do, here. There you go. We did it for you again. I know. That's why we call it the Insane Asylum. We want to hit our head against the hard surface, We want to hit our heads against a hard surface. Nanos is Anley Taylor. Aw, shucks. Andy Taylor. I don't know what to do with the dynamic, going on there. I know we're not going to be able to help. And, if I could have played the tape through sooner, we would have been out there sooner, right? And now, you know, we got TSA. Like, you know, this is not going to work. I don't know how anybody's flying out or coming home, right? Because we got TSA workers out. We got, you know, delays all over this country because the Democrat hierarchy, the people that hijacked the Democrat Party, are shutting down the country, you know. So we're dealing with a hijacked Democrat Party with a bunch of lunatics, okay? And even though all the Democrats are screaming something, and the majority of the Democrats are telling them to stop, they're not listening. So I feel bad for the Democrats, the mom and pops of the Democrat Party that have been hijacked. I don't know what to tell you for a solution other than never forget and fire their asses. You know, that's the only thing I can tell you. Just come out in droves and fire their asses. In 2026 and in 2028. That's the only thing that they understand. Get all these SOBs out of Congress. And you know what? For the right, you guys need to do the same thing. Balls and backbones have got to be. You guys want to take this country back? You guys are sick of fighting between each other. I mean, you guys feel like the Democrat Party, they just want some help. They, you know, I think if we had good policy, nobody would need the freaking government help. We all could be eaten, right? But if not for our government. It's like our government's here to help us, but are they really helping us? It seems like all they're doing is taking, and we're getting nothing. They're so freaking greedy. They're bloody greedy. They're sending all of our money overseas just to get laundering it, just to have it put back in their own private bank accounts. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I am so sick of it. And it's been going on for decades. We're all getting robbed blind. You know what? Balls and backbones. That's got to be on the ballot. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You can be straight up the middle, independent with a big old middle finger to both sides. I don't care. But balls and backbones, baby. Balls and backbones. If we unite around anything in this world, folks, it has to be balls and backbones. It sounds a little twisted, but we ain't swinging on it, okay? I'm just saying we need it. All right, now that you guys understand what Betty's trying to say, thank you so much. Well, you just came in at the wrong time. Kathy's like, what kind of freak is this talking about some balls and back? Well, welcome, Kathy. It's nice to have you on the Bullhorn Betty channel. I would say we're not this crazy, but yeah, we're always this crazy. So if you like it, come on back tomorrow. Bookmark the page. Bookmark the page. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if it made you laugh. I'm just saying. We need anything but Sheriff Nanos, okay, for 2026 and 2028. We need to fire Sheriff Nanos. We need to fire Eric Craddock. We've got to get these politicians that we didn't even get to this lady telling us that we're not even entitled. Oh, we can get back to that. Do I still have her up? I let her go. Damn it. I knew that was going to be a mistake. That's okay. Betty, new update, check mod chat. Last two things are same subject. Okay, same subject. I must be getting some allergies. My eyes are just burning. Like, they are burning right now. I don't know what is wrong with it. The only thing that ever makes my eyes burn, and I noticed that they were getting irritated this morning onto this morning's show, but it's my allergies. My eyes feel really, really dry right now. Okay,
Breaking news in the Nancy Guthrie case.
all right, let's see what we got here. I'll have to do it here because that just dropped 15 minutes ago. This is from T, the one that doesn't do drama but does drama. Hopefully she doesn't do it anymore. But
the FBI has recovered additional imagery from cameras at the Arizona home of Nancy Guthrie. Sources briefed on the investigation told this to ABC News. So these images were recovered in recent weeks from motion-activated cameras that were focused on the swimming pool, Nancy's backyard, and her side yard. However, and this is a big bummer, investigators were unable to recover video footage, but instead they got reduced size thumbnail images that were captured when the cameras were triggered by motion. Investigators were able to observe several people in the back and side yards over an unspecified period prior to the abduction. I'm assuming that those people were not Nancy Guthrie, her daughter Annie, her son-in-law Tommaso Sioni, but boy oh boy, I wonder who they are and how many of them were out there. And could they be the perpetrators or perpetrator? But if they are considered suspects, then it sounds like we do have multiple perpetrators.
Wow.
But there's another really big bummer. The cameras captured nothing on the night of the abduction. And apparently investigators, the way they say this, have drawn no conclusions as to why. But one source described it as odd. Were they out because of that potential outage of Wi-Fi? I'm not techie enough, so I don't know. Is this why Sheriff Nanos was able to say this week that he believes Guthrie was indeed targeted, but that investigators have not released the motive, but they think they might know what the motive was? Nanos said, quote, "We believe we know why he did this." That's weird that he says he, not they. And we believe that it was targeted, but we're not 100% sure of that. So it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you. End quote. Why in the hell is Sheriff Nanos just now saying that? Don't you think Nancy's neighbors in the Catalina foothills of Tucson would have liked to know that from perhaps day one? They're all thinking, oh, well, it sounds like Nancy was targeted, so we're cool, no problem. They may have installed cameras by now and security alarms, but still, they need to know if the authorities think that this guy has the personality, the drive to do this again and again. This is Tia of Bed Crime Stories. Please smash that like button and please subscribe if you like all things true crime.
Okay, that was one. Let's see what the next one is. So interesting stuff.
Guys, so it's day 41 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. I'm actually in Nancy's neighborhood right now. I'm just cooling down in the car. It's really hot here today in Tucson. But some new information. This is according to ABC News. They say that they have a source that reveals that the FBI has recovered additional images from cameras at Nancy Guthrie's home. Remember, we knew that they were able to get the images and video from the front camera, but apparently they are now also gathering images from other cameras at the home, according to ABC. These images were recovered in recent weeks from motion-activated cameras on the swimming pool, backyard, and side yard. They were unable to recover video footage, but they found reduced-size small thumbnail images that were captured when the cameras were triggered by motion, but that the cameras recorded nothing suspicious, according to the sources that ABC News has. So it's interesting. A lot of people were wondering, would Google be able to go back and get the images from the other cameras? And apparently not the full video, but they were able to find the thumbnails.
Interesting.
Right now they're saying nothing suspicious, but you never know. Something in the video may help. So I got a couple things I'm working on today here near Nancy's house.
So interesting. We got more breaking news. Breaking news. More images. More images have been realized from those cameras. However, they are just that, images. And it sounds like the images seen are of random people in her yard. Nothing of that night. So these might be yard trimmers, tree trimmers, pool people. It might be somebody else, but they're only giving thumbnail tile images, not the full video from what we're hearing. But there are additional images coming in. If they're saying there's nothing from that night, is this really, because we're starting to see them really ask neighbors questions about the internet. We saw them look at a utility box that appeared to be damaged. So we do have several spots of concern, to say the least, when it comes to this home. But it does sound like several images were had on the cameras. No videos, according to the source. I don't know what to believe about that, because I don't think that the people, even law enforcement sources, even FBI, they would give a nibble but not the whole bite. So could there be images that are forthcoming that they're not going to be talking about, that right now they know they just got images, not videos, but videos might be had in the near future? It looks like they're working leaps and bounds. But I keep coming back to, how in the world did they get the video from the front door camera if a jammer was being used, or if the internet was down? How did that happen? I just would like somebody to explain that to me. I believe they have video and pictures. Yeah, but there's only saying they've got still images and just thumbnail type images when the camera was triggered. I didn't realize Arizona had so many wackadoodles. I know. Well, you know, when you have policies like no lights in a rich community, you are sitting ducks and inviting animals to come in and rob you and hurt you and everything else. This is the most foolish thing I have ever heard, and law enforcement is just okay with it. Where did law enforcement's mouth go to? Why wasn't this Yahoo here at the Board of County Commissioners screaming, saying, you are putting our residents in jeopardy? He is an officer of the law. He knew that these policies would put somebody in jeopardy. Any reasonable person could deduct that having no lights in a rich community would be welcoming crime. They are lucky something like this hasn't happened before. But I can guarantee whatever has happened out there in this, it was swept under the rug, so everybody felt safe. It was never, ever reported publicly. I bet you a lot of crime out here has been swept under the rug, away from the residents. So the residents didn't realize what was going on in their own backyard. These people, these politicians, and this sheriff has put a target on this community's back, and they turned their back on helping them. That is what happened. They have failed this entire community. I'm surprised more hasn't happened in a community like this. But now that there's a spotlight on it, why do you think there's so many electricians and people at Nancy's house working? Because now everybody and their mother absolutely knows where Miss Guthrie lives, and will absolutely from this point forward be trying to get into that house just to see what happened, because people are idiots. So now they have to absolutely have live footage at their home to watch the house to make sure it is protected. They still have to be able to protect this house and keep it protected. Remember, outside of Annie and Tommaso, everybody lives out of state. So it sounds like they have no choice but to, do some major modifications on this house, because it's got to be secured. And now that her mom's not in this house to monitor or watch this house, that means they're going to have to try to do it wherever they're at in this country. So this is just very sad. It was completely unnecessary. My heart does bleed for the Guthrie family. And, I really do hope, they have something, but why would law enforcement be so quiet? They are trickling out some information to us, but is it because they know more than they're letting on to the public? That would be positive. It'd be a positive message if they know more than what they're letting on to the public, which I really am hoping that is the case. But the reality of things like this is that's not always the case, And it seems like we're not getting really a whole lot of places with the sheriff. The sheriff is kind of, a Sheriff Snuggles Struggles 2.0, except he just doesn't have the horrible posts in his social media that we know of, right? But it does sound like there were some errors in his resume that were ultimately corrected. So we see a lot of problems in this area. We see a lot of problems that make us feel a little uncomfortable about this case. And the pressure is definitely on. We are applying a lot of pressure to this law enforcement body, not just us, but mainstream media as well. Because, let's face it, who was affected by this sheriff's decision more so than anybody else? Mainstream media. Social media, we are used to not having a whole lot of equipment. We're not used to having to, if we could buy a bicycle and ride, we would have everything would fit in a backpack for us. That's not the same for mainstream media. They got a lot of equipment, a lot of lighting, a lot of cameras, a lot of everything, a lot of equipment, period. And so when Chris Nanos, shut down the parking on that road, who did that affect the most? It affected mainstream media. So, and it cost mainstream media a lot more money because of his decisions. It didn't cost social media money for his decisions. It cost mainstream media because of his decisions. And so now, not only are you being disrespectful to social media, but you're strangling mainstream media. So this guy right here is most likely not going to have favorable results with mainstream media because, let's face it, Scripps owns just about Gray and owns a lot of news stations. Scripps owns a lot of news stations. And when and those local stations are owned by a parent company. So at the end of the day, this politician is absolutely going to need that local media for his campaigning. He's absolutely going to need social media for his campaigning. And we're going to be right there with our foot on his neck like he was when this case was going on and treating all of us like shit. We're going to remember that. We're going to remember that, and it's going to come back to bite him, just like it's going to come back to bite Sheriff Snuggles Struggles and the other assholes that do this. They need to stop. We have a right to be there. If you want to be disrespectful, it will turn around and bite you really bad in the rear end at some point. You can't be rude to mainstream media and social media and accept to survive in this world politically. So I have a funny feeling this officer's done. I have a funny feeling Chris Nanos' job is over. I don't know when he's up for re-election, but when he is up for re-election, he's not going to be re-elected. And you want to know why? Because everybody wants to know where Grandma is. And you know what Chris Nanos says to everybody? Shut up. Sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it in the real world. And now he's saying the worst part out loud. This guy could strike again. That's pretty scary stuff, folks. That's pretty scary stuff. So for you folks that are in the Catalina foothills, for you folks that are in Tucson, I worry about your safety. I have worried about your safety since I started this case. And I know some of you guys don't like how pointed I am because I point out the bullshit real quick. And I think it's pretty stupid to allow yourselves to live in dark in this society in 2026. This world out here is crazy. And you guys are sitting ducks and allowing it to creep into your own backyard. You need to be smarter than this. And I hope you are. I hope you are. I hope people in this area start standing up and speaking up, because if you don't, and locking the doors is not... is hardly effective this day and age. I mean, everybody has a machine to get you in somewhere. And that's the reality of the situation. We need to have real protecting, we need to have a force, and a law enforcement force that has more than 4 years experience, from person to person. We need to have some real seasoned agents. We need to have all the petty bullshit, like the fight between Chris Nanos and the pilot. Like, that's got to be, what the hell is this shit? I'm done. This guy has no business being a sheriff. I don't know why people keep voting for him, but you know what it is? It's because he does what somebody's paying him to do, okay? And it's not you. You know those advertisements that come into your mail? That's being bought and paid for by somebody supporting this man. That is who this man works for. He does not work for you. I always tell people, unless you're seeing that politician belly to belly, if they're being so lazy to send you a whole bunch of junk mail in your mailbox to have you vote for their junk, you need to wisen up. People should not be elected by you because they can flood your mailbox with a bunch of bought and paid for advertisements that somebody had to pay for, and it's usually the person that they really work for. If that politician is not willing to come up to your door, knock on your door, and shake your hand, why are you voting for them? If they're not willing to invite you out to hear them speak, why are you voting for them? If they put their VIPs and speak to them but won't come out there and speak to you, why are you voting for them? You are the boss, not those VIPs. And when your politician ignores that fact, why are you giving them a job? I'm asking for a few million people. And I hope every single one of you answer that question, whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican. Who does your politician work for? Look who they're shaking hands with. When you get down from that podium and come out there and shake the real world's hand, the average Joe's hand, that's the person you need to put into office. When you see them not wanting to be around the public but wanting to shake all those VIPs' hands, there is a swamp creature waiting to happen right there. Somebody that's bought and paid for all those VIPs that they're willing to shake their hand, but they're not willing to come out from behind that podium and shake your hand. Wisen up, folks. Wisen up. Amen. Pass the SAVE Act. All right, guys. God bless. We'll see you real soon. We're going to be discussing this case. I'm not sure what topic of conversation we're going to have tonight on this case. If you guys have not been over to Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories, we're going to start running shows on that every afternoon. So if you guys are, maybe not being able to catch our morning show, maybe you can catch our lunchtime show if you're on your lunch break. I'm going to try to keep those down to about a half an hour, between a half an hour to an hour. We're not going to really extend past that. We're not going to do like a 2-hour live or anything like that. It's really going to be a half hour to an hour. If we have more stuff to talk about, it'll extend to that hour. But it's just going to be, an hour of breaking news and updated information on the cases that we're already covering, updates, some talking points on maybe Sebastian Rogers. We might decide to talk, but I'm going to start committing to a noon live there every day to talk about something. So if you guys would like to go on, it's going to be a little different than this, right? I feel like this is kind of mundane. I know that this is something everybody's wanting to hear because we're all kind of invested in Nancy Guthrie, but at the end of the day, we still have other cases that we need to update you guys on, and I can't find the time to cover all of these different talking points in the Nancy Guthrie case and keep you updated on the other cases. So we will be getting over into the other channel. We have no choice but to utilize the other channel during this time, and we'll start working just a little bit by slow, just doing a noon over there. It's going to be small. I think we had like 68, 70 people. It's a more informal, laid back environment. I cuss a lot more over there. Sonia doesn't want to come over there and hang out with us because she thinks I'm a devil child when I'm on my other channel, but that's okay. I'm not a devil child. I just speak a little more freely than I do on my main channel. So that's all. So if you want to see me go off on somebody today, please consider going over to my I did it too. I don't every now and again you just gotta let it go, right? And I'm sorry, but I'm so sick of these fakes. I'm so sick, you know what I'm so sick of? I'm so sick of how I was treated on this platform for so long, and to see the people that treated me like this just, fall one by one, and their shenanigans have to be bared before all, and they're rotten individuals. They're just horrible people. And you know, and the people that follow them don't consider, like all these people should be leaving those channels and flooding away, because I mean, if they're starting to see, oh my gosh, I supported this guy, I like this guy, we supported him, we did this. Well, obviously you were led astray by somebody. Who was leading you astray about these people? And if you were led astray about this guy, what about the other people you're still watching? Why are you doing that? You are supporting bad people. We've been telling you this from the very beginning. And while you guys have been clubbing, some of you guys have been clubbing me over the head, I've been telling you, you guys are supporting evil. And we're starting to see the evil come out of these people. So if this is one, remember, birds of a feather flock together. All those people you've been hanging out with, all of those people are rotten to their core. It's time to ditch them. It's time to come over. If you're true crime, come over here, get away from all that drama, all that hate, all that chaos, and come over here and start working on something positive and good, finding people and putting bad guys behind bars, or working to put bad guys behind bars. That's what we want. Come over here where we dive into change laws that work to make sure we leave this community better than when we got here. You know, make your time on these platforms worth something, right? Worth something. Don't waste yourself over nothing. Don't waste everything over nothing. Make whatever you do in this world impactful. And that's what we try to do over here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. So anyways, guys, have a great day. We will be back. It is 4 o'clock, so it looks like it's going to be a 7 or 8 o'clock show tonight. I'm going to take a break. I'm just going to recoup. We've done a lot. We've already done, this is our 3rd show today. We're going to be doing a 4th show, and I haven't even gone on TikTok yet, so, or Facebook. So I'm still pretty much busy. I've been up since, I think our first show was like at 6 o'clock this morning, and we're still rolling pretty strong today. So it's been a lot of work. Hope you guys love it. Just follow me around. I never know where I'm going to be, but we are working no matter what we do. So we'll see you guys soon. God bless.